Hey, this is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and today I am here in Detroit with a sneak peek at the all-new 2024 GMC Acadia. And the three biggest changes you're going to see on this vehicle involve the size proportions, the powertrain, and the addition of Super Cruise on more trim levels. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to do a quick exterior walk around. We're going to play around in the interior and check out the third row and the cargo space because, yep, that's also bigger. And yeah, that's what we've got in this video. It's going to be brief, but we're going to pack it with a lot of information and visibility of these two vehicles. So let's take a closer look right now. All right, before we get into the walk-arounds, let's have a brief conversation about the powertrain. So there is only going to be one powertrain option for the 2024 model year, and that is going to be a 2.5-liter four-cylinder turbocharged engine. This replaces the outgoing four-cylinder and the outgoing V6, but I'm going to tell you right now it has more horsepower and more torque than the outgoing V6. So you're looking at 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. I want to say that is like 18 more horsepower and 40 more pound-feet of torque. So for all of you who are bemoaning the fact that the V6 is gone, don't. This is going to have plenty of power and plenty of torque, because your towing, max towing also increases from 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. All right, let's take a closer look at the exterior. We have both a Denali and an AT4 on the stage, so let's check it out. All right, there is a lot to take in here and we really don't have too much time. So I'm just going to start with the fact that if you look at the side profile, this is going to be a lot bigger than the previous generation. So the other thing you're going to notice is that you don't have the body colored paneled right here. It's moved to the back, which gives a little bit more visibility to that third row, which we haven't climbed back there yet, but we are hoping this means that you're not going to feel very claustrophobic back there. So you have longer, taller, wider proportions on this vehicle. And again, what that's going to do is open up the interior space just a little bit more for those passengers. So this right here is going to be the AT4 model, and GMC is saying it's more capable than any other AT4 that they have produced for the Acadia. Now, you've got a glossy black grille, which is going to add your sportiness to the exterior looks, but the big key here is going to be the fact that you have these very attractive red tow hooks that are very functional. And then if you drop down here, you can see you have a factory installed skid plate that again is meant to be incredibly capable and to, so that when you take this vehicle off-road, you can, do off-road things. Now, generally, when you look at the Acadia, you're going to see these C-shaped LED daytime running lights. And when you go around to the back, you have that theme carried through to the rear tail lights. Again, you've got your LED, C-shaped tail lights. But what's really cool is if you look down at these exhaust pipes, and this is a quad exhaust, and you will see it on both, well, I guess I should say all trims of the GMC Acadia. So you've got Elevation, Elevation Premium, AT4, and Denali. These are inspired by the Corvette C8. So I think that's kind of cool. So when you look at the tires, so these are the wheels, you've got your 18-inch wheels here with some more diameter to the tires, because if you look over here to the Denali, you have the 22-inch wheels, but a little less diameter on the tires. So this is meant for on-road performance. This is meant for off-road performance. Now, the other thing that you're going to notice, you have this side light here and a little bit of a flare to the fenders. It's not huge, but it's enough to make this just a little bit wider than the other trims. Something else you will notice is obviously the wheels themselves are a little bit different. Moving over here to the Denali trim, you're going to notice some more bright chrome. It's still a little bit muted, but not as sporty, but a little bit more elegant. So you've got, again, sporty with black accents here, and a little bit more chromy up level here. Headlights stay the same. You've got a more upright stance, and I know we've kind of pointed this out previously with the length, but overall this vehicle gets a more upright, rugged look to it. Coming around again, you've got some more of the bright chrome pieces here on the Denali model versus the black bits, black trims on the AT4. And again, coming around to the back, just looks a little bit more elegant, a little less sporty, but still really nice. Let's take a closer look inside at what's going on here. So we're looking at it from the passenger side. One, because I think this is a good view, but two, if I open the driver's door, it's going to start beeping at me. But one of the things I will point out, and this is a new popular design theme that we are seeing in a lot of vehicles, is you have this floating console which allows you to store stuff underneath, bag, purse, maybe not a diaper bag, but some other things, to-go bag, grocery bag, not a briefcase, but small purse. And what has allowed this to happen is this right here. They have moved the gear shift from the console area onto the column. So we haven't driven it yet, but the operation seems fairly obvious, and the location is similar to what we have seen in other vehicles that also have a column shifter. Now, another big difference that you're going to notice here is, look at this screen. This is a 15-inch screen, and it is standard on all trims, and it is significantly larger than what we saw in the previous generation. And you have some kind of cool operation functionality here. So you can have it be full screen, and I'm going to point out this is pre-production, so we'll just dismiss that. So you're going to see some things on both of these vehicles that are not going to be stock production, and you're going to maybe see some error messages pop up. But you have the ability to have it as a full screen, or you can kind of split it up into 3 screens. And I love the customizability here. And when you make it full screen again, it takes up the whole space, and I really like that. So I like the fact that you can choose how you want to see this. And yeah, I'm also going to point out you have a volume dial as well as some toggle switches down here to control your HVAC. So not everything is going to be operated through this large screen, and I, for one, thank you very much for that one. Another big change is going to be the fact that you have an 11-inch display screen behind the wheel, so for your driver information gauges, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit configurable, but again, we don't have much time, and this is just a first look, so you're just going to have to stay tuned for the first drive when we play with all of those controls and things. You also have a head-up display, and it is going to be larger and more defined than the previous head-up display. You have a wireless charging pad, and again, some more places to store things. You have a USB-C and a USB-A port. Your cup holders have moved down here instead of being vertical, and yeah, when you open up this, you've got really a lot of space in here. So also space for, you know, a small purse. Because this is the Denali trim, you do get a lighter color option, and it looks kind of a tan, but this is actually a light gray. You have some quilting pattern on the seats in addition to some really nice stitching accents. And you will have heated and ventilated seats that are standard at the Denali trim, heated rear seats that are standard on the Denali trim. And again, just some really nice finishing touches and just looking really up level on this Denali trim. But when we go over to the AT4, you're going to see that looks really up level too. So they've done a great job improving the materials throughout the lineup. So the other thing I'm going to point out is that you have Super Cruise. I think it's going to be standard on the Denali. It is available on Elevation Premium. It's available on AT4, and then it'll be standard on Denali. And this is news because previously you could only really get Super Cruise on Denali trims, but they're just trying to make it more available to more customers. So while we're on the topic of safety-ish features, I'll call that a safety feature, I'll point out that there are also 15 standard safety features, but they didn't tell us what those are yet. So maybe they'll send us a list and we can point those out in bullet points on the video after the fact. Let's climb into the second row and see what's going on here. So standing on the outside, you can see that you have this panoramic roof. This is going to be standard on Denali, available on the other trims. But something that is going to be standard on all trims, and another thing that I'm going to thank GMC for, is the fact that you have rear HVAC controls. And it's not just a fan, it's the temperature controls as well as the fan option. You have two USB-C ports back here as well as an actual plug port. And I know somebody is going to ask where the air vents are. So here you go. They are in the ceiling, which I think is a really good place because then you can adjust them to hit your face. Something else worth noting is you will see captain's chairs here in the Denali trim, and you will see captain's chairs in the AT4 trim. You will see them also in the Elevation Premium. The only trim that will have a bench seat option is going to be the base Elevation. Then you have the bench seat option, and you have the availability of putting captain's chairs in there as well. But the Elevation Premium, the Denali, the AT4, captain's chairs only. For the parents out there, I will point out you do have latch points in the outboard chairs. Obviously the captain's chairs, but you also have them in the rear seats. So the idea being that you can put car seats in the second row and the third row. All right, let's talk a little bit about the third row because they've really done some work back here to add more passenger space. So first, they've kind of given you a little bit of a scoop here so that you have more headroom. And I'll say I have, between my short head and the roof, I have about, I would say 6 inches between my head and the actual roof, and I'm about 5 feet tall. I always say I'm about the size of your average 10-year-old. So yeah, that is good space. I think a taller adult or child could fit back here. And then in terms of leg room, I will say, you know, the seat is not pulled all the way back. Hold on, let's do that. Let's put the seat all the way back for a second. Okay, so second row seat slid all the way back. And all right, that's a little tight. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a mid-size SUV. This is not a full-size SUV, so you can't expect, you know, gargantuan amounts of legroom. But you can negotiate with this person right here to give you a little bit more than what you've got. And as the size of an average 10-year-old, my knees are pushing up against this seat, and I did kind of have to put my feet sideways to put them underneath the seat. However, if you scooch over here, I have plenty of foot room, and I would say, again, about 4 to 6 inches between my knee and the back of this seat. Now, what I find interesting is they have put 3 seats back here. So again, size of a 10-year-old here, and my shoulder hits here. So kind of second square in if I'm sitting here, second square in, second square in. So you could fit 3 of me in this back seat, but I don't know that you're gonna wanna put 3 of anybody bigger than me back here. 2 people I think will fit more comfortably, and again, you're gonna have to negotiate with the person in the second row to get more leg room, but 3 is gonna be a squeeze. 3 is gonna be an occasional third passenger here. So you have the 7-passenger configuration and the 8-passenger configuration options, but the 8-passenger configuration option, again, is only in the base elevation trim. Otherwise, you're going to be putting 3 people back here, and it's probably not going to be super comfortable. But what else do we have going on back here? I'll point out you have air vents in the headliner, you've got cup holders, you've got a device holder, and you've got USB-C charging ports back here. So if you take this person in the center out of it, I would say this is a pretty comfortable space for third row passengers. All right, before we close out this first look at the GMC Acadia, I just want to take a look at the AT4 interior. And again, you've got that nice, large, big screen. You've got the large 11-inch driver information screen. You also have the available head-up display. There is the available panoramic roof in here, but one of the biggest differences you're going to notice is going to be in the trims and materials. So this just looks a little bit more rugged. You have some, you know, nicely textured cloth inserts here. You've got kind of a warm tone to the stitching and the piping, and it mixes with this red AT4 threading. So, you know, again, it looks the same, but you're just going to have some different materials in the front, and then when you move to the back. So when you move to the back, you also have the available heated seats, but the HVAC controls are going to be standard across all of the trims. All right, that is what I have for you today with my first look of the 2024 GMC Acadia. And I wanted to end it back here because I wanted to make sure that we checked this out. This is an 80% improvement in cargo space over the previous generation. So in addition to having more space here, I want to point out you actually have a lot of space under here as well. And I think that's pretty cool because personally, I live in the city. I like to hide stuff under things, and that is really, really helpful. So that's what I have for you today. Be sure to check us out on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com, where I will have a full first look at this, and I will have spec information and more details than I shared in this video. So check us out on the web, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road.